Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Ponderings of a Wandering Mind. This is another episode or another installment, I guess you could call it, of Daily Ponderings, where I kind of discuss things that are kind of weighing heavy on me, and I just kind of want to talk about it. I just kind of want to put it out there and start a conversation. So feel free to leave comments in the below, and I will read every comment that is put in there. Good, bad, or ugly, whatever is on your mind, please leave it in the comments. Today, I kind of want to talk about mental health because it's something actually that weighs heavy on me. It's something that I think a lot about. Um, I have dealt with mental health issues since I was really young. I've dealt with depression and anxiety. It's not something that is fun to talk about. It's not something that is easy to talk about. But I think that it's important, especially in today's society where it seems like depression and anxiety is a huge and major obstacle uh, for people. And I think that the internet has a lot to do with that. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I kind of want to tell you a little bit about my story. So, like I said, I've dealt with depression and anxiety since I was really young, especially abandonment issues. That has been something that's been huge because I've had people that were majorly part of my life just all of a sudden not there anymore. And what that taught me as a young child was that I was forgettable, that I was someone that you didn't really need to think about. Um, and so that became part of my defense mechanism, was not to get close to people because I didn't want to get hurt. I didn't want them to leave. And it also became a part of my routine that if anybody did leave, that it was my fault. And so in relationships especially, I began to kind of lose myself in relationships. And I've talked about this on my stream where I kind of lose myself um, in relationships. It's all about the other person. It's all about making sure that they're happy so that they don't leave me. And one of the things that I've had to teach myself, which is a very hard lesson that I've had to learn, is that if somebody's going to leave because I express my needs, because if I express something that I want from them, if they leave because of that, that's on them. That's not on me. I can express my own thoughts. I can express my own needs. That's been such a hard thing for me to learn. And so I've dealt with, the varying issues that you have with depression and anxiety. I did when I was younger. I was the party girl, going out every weekend, drinking it up, hanging out, dancing, and while a lot of things that I did pales in comparison to some other people who have really hit, rock bottom, um, I I still look back on that, and I know that I was trying to kind of ease some of the anxiety and ease some of the depression that I was going through. So it wasn't until I met my last boyfriend, Scott, who he passed away last June, but I was with him for 9 years, and I learned a lot of lessons with him when it comes to relationships. That it was okay for me to voice my needs. It was okay for me to voice my wants. It was okay for me to be affectionate, and to reach out for him when I felt it was. And I don't know how many people out there can relate, but for me that was really hard because I taught myself so long ago that I wasn't worth that. I wasn't worth being able to do that, and that if I did assert anything that in regards to my needs or my wants, that the person was going to leave, because it just became too much for them. And I know now that that's not the case, but I've grown up and that was ingrained in my head. And so it's been really hard to untangle that. But with Scott's help, I was able to kind of learn or relearn how to be in a relationship. And like I said, we were together for 9 years. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm perfect in a relationship or that I don't fall back on old habits, because I do. Uh, but but I did learn a lot of lessons with him. And when he passed away last June, I'm not going to say that our relationship was perfect, because it wasn't. We had our struggles just like any couple. Um, and I felt like we were kind of growing apart at the time. But when he passed away so suddenly, it was still jarring. It was so, oh, it threw me for a loop so much. I can't even begin to voice how that made me feel. And it was a grief that I had never dealt with ever. And so I I really was reeling from it, and I was starting my new streaming channel at that time. He was actually helping me put it together. In fact, the weekend that he had his heart attack, he was supposed to come over and help me set up my new microphone. He was so involved in my streaming. He set me up with lights. He's like, okay, we need to do this or that, or change this or update this. Um, and he seemed really excited for it, really interested in it. And when I look back at that time, I remember I was actually mad at him because I wasn't hearing back from him. We didn't live together, which surprises some people since we were together for 9 years. But it worked well for us not to live together. But that's another thing. But when he didn't call me that weekend, I got upset at him, and I was like, all right, he's not calling me. And like I said, our relationship wasn't perfect. So it was we were kind of feeling that growing apart thing. Whether or not that would have changed and we would have come back together, I don't know. But we, at the time, I felt like we were kind of pulling apart a bit. And so I was mad at him. He's not calling me. He's not coming over. Screw him. And then I found out later that he had a heart attack, and that's why he hadn't messaged me. And I really felt guilty for that. I felt super guilty. And so that just added on to the grief, right? You go through the anger and the grief and the sadness, but I also had guilt on top of that, because I felt like I should have known. I should have known, and it's taken me a while. I don't feel guilty anymore like I did, but but that took a while for me to get through that. So I came up with Chat Therapy Tuesday, which was called Mental Health Tuesday before, because I started making some wrong choices on stream. I started drinking, and I was, and while most of the time I was fine, it wasn't like I got sloppy drunk all the time on stream. There were a couple times when I did, and like I said, while it pales in comparison to some people who hit rock bottom, that was rock bottom for me. There was one point where the next day I didn't remember what I did the night before on stream. And so I went back to look at the stream, to look at the video on demand, and I was completely embarrassed. I couldn't believe that I acted that way. And so I just decided, I need to look at why I did this. I need to look at some into myself and find out why I was doing this. And it was because I was sad. I was depressed. I was upset because of Scott's death. And so I started thinking about 2020 and COVID, and the fact that we are kind of in our homes, isolated from other people, not able to connect with our friends, not able to connect with family outside of the home. And I started thinking about how lonely not only that I might have felt, but how other people might have felt lonely. And so I decided that I wanted to give a platform or a space for people who needed to talk, a place to come in and talk. And that's where Chat Therapy Tuesday came from. I wanted to also for myself to be able to talk, because I understood that the reason why I was drinking, the reason why I was making those choices, was because I wasn't talking about my grief. I wasn't talking about how I felt. And so, that's where chat therapy came from. And I can't tell you how wonderful it has been to be able to just hang out and chat. We don't do anything special. We just hang out and chat. We do silly chat games, and talk about our weeks, talk about how things are going, talk about how we feel, mental health wise, what we feel would make it better, or just talk and get support from other people. It is a wonderful community, and I cannot tell you, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have them to fall back on for the support. So for every one of you, thank you so much for being there, because I really truly don't know where I would be today if it hadn't been for you. So mental health in our society nowadays is really a problem. I mean, with COVID and the isolations and the lockdowns, and just our kids not being able to go to school, it really has thrown our country into just a spiral, a downward spiral when it comes to mental health. And I think that we need to be aware of that. Suicides for children have gone up. I can't imagine how many kids who use school as a way to get away from their home life now don't have that escape. They're at home, they're stuck at home in that tumultuous environment. Some of them who were already feeling lonely are feeling even more lonely because they don't have that connection with other people. And it's the same for adults. If you are not able to go to work because of COVID, it could feel very isolating being at home by yourself, or with your family. But still, it's a feeling of isolation because you don't have that connection with other people outside of outside. So like I said, mental health has really been on my mind. It's been something that I've been thinking a lot about. And I just want to let you know, just like I had to learn that I'm not forgettable, that there are people in my life who would notice if I wasn't there tomorrow, because that seriously was a thought in my head not too long ago. Would anybody notice if I wasn't here? Yes, there are a lot of people who would notice if I wasn't here tomorrow. And I can almost guarantee that there would be somebody who would notice if you were not here tomorrow. So I would encourage you to reach out, talk to someone, vent, get those feelings out there, and connect with other people. You are loved. You are appreciated. Find those who love you and adore you. And if you can't think of anybody, contact me, because I want you to know that you are seen, you are loved, you are adored. We might not have met yet, but I want you to know that I do care. You can join my Discord and message me. You can message me on Twitch. There's something called a whisper, which is like a direct message. You can find me on Twitter, which is Pondering Minds on Twitter. If you need someone to reach out to, please reach out to me. I will listen to you. I'm not a psychologist and I'm not a counselor, so I won't pretend to be able to give you therapy. But I will be someone who can listen to you. I will be someone who can let you know that you are appreciated and you are loved. So please, reach out to somebody. Tell somebody how you're feeling. If you're feeling alone and you're feeling isolated, it's very important that you reach out to somebody. We are going through a time like never before. We have not seen something like this before. So it is no surprise if you are feeling a heaviness, a depression. So please, like I said, reach out to somebody. It is not weakness to reach out. If you or somebody you know is feeling suicidal, there is a hotline that I will say in the description, because I don't know it off the top of my head. But I will link it in the description for you to contact, because please know, suicide is not the answer. And I don't know how much more I can express that. It's not. You will leave somebody behind who is going to grieve for you, who is going to miss you, and who is going to feel guilty because they didn't do enough to help you. So please know that you are not alone. You are appreciated, you are loved, and you are seen. Alright, guys. I think that's going to be it for me. This is Ponderings of a Wandering Mind. This is my daily pondering. I am Pondering Minds, and I am here for you. So have a great night, everybody. Have a great day. Wherever you are in the world, stay safe, be nice to each other, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.